literally. I was pursuing ordination as a deacon because my work is out there in social justice. Then COVID hit, and I was in our memory unit. I chose to stay, and our unit was hit with COVID, and we were on lockdown for 5 months. And I learned a lot about life and death. I lost a third of my patients in that unit. I was in the middle of taking my second unit of CPE, clinical pastoral education, and I realized this is what I meant to do. It's a late in life vocation, but I also realized that a lot of things in my life helped prepare me for this. But I needed more education. I had taken CPE to ground myself a little bit more because I didn't have the higher academic credentials required for ordination. And I felt this was advised that this might help ground me. And little did I know that it would open up a vocation for me. Finished my 4 units, completed all my competencies, and I was hired by the state of Wisconsin for the mental health hospital. And I love being a chaplain. What I found though during those five months in lockdown was that because I was not ordained, especially as a presbyter, I could not bring the sacraments to these patients. Outside clergy, even outside hospice was not allowed in because we were on total lockdown. And I realized I needed more tools in my bag, in my toolkit for my patients, whether they are Catholic or not Catholic. When they're dying, the family did not care. They simply wanted their loved ones in some way anointed, blessed. Started using my pastoral authority and creativity, and I did just that. And I realized, again, this is what I meant to do. The Mary Magdalene Society has helped me pay for my education, thank you, and given me the courage to seek my residency in spiritual direction. I started in January and been accepted into the Racine Siena Center, run by the Dominicans, to take a 2-year program to be certified as a spiritual director. And it's a huge commitment to time and to finances. And I thank the MaryMagdalene Society for helping me this year. And I plan to apply for a grant next year to help me pay for this training. And I just thank you so much for helping a dream that I didn't even know existed come true, but I was able to answer my vocation. So thank you very much.
Now that was her part-time job. Mimi has been with Advance for, oh gosh, 4 or 5 years, 5 years now. And she is one of our presbyters at Advance. So currently we are in transition, and she is doing, and we have 2 presbyters, and she's doing several of the services as we, our other presbyter, Mary Harges, is on medical leave. But she's doing almost all of our services, except for when we have George come be our guest homilist, or Jen Rees-Lay, who's been our guest homilist, and some other guest homilists. But thank you, Mimi. She contributes a great deal to Advance. She's been part of us now for 5 years. Thank you. Trish, can I put you on the spot for just a minute?
Sure.
Trish is one of our grant recipients, and she's in the video, but I wasn't sure, I didn't realize she'd be here with us in the room. So if you have a little different perspective on your grant application as to in your position.
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't met me yet, I'm Trish Sullivan-Monty. I'm the pastoral director and presbyter at the Caris community in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. And in my travels, trying to live into my vocation, I loved how you framed that, meaning, you know, the Holy Spirit invites, but sometimes she forgets her checkbook. And in the course of doing both the Master of Divinity degree at St. John's University in Collegeville, it's a very well-known Benedictine seminary. Shout out to my Benedictine brothers and sisters. I then followed that with a PhD in theology and done at the Graduate Theological Union. It's an interdisciplinary study of the intersections of ecclesiology, liturgical theology, and organizational leadership theory. My pressing question is, how do we lead collaboratively? It's a question I get to really play with in the ECC. But in the course of doing that, I accumulated $92,000 of academic debt. Okay, Zoomers, don't fall over. And late in life. I am now drawing a small housing stipend and do not have a salary or benefits or retirement plan. I've given my energy full-time to Caris for 5 years. I'm now that we have a lot of strong lay leaders, I'm trying to figure out how to maybe consciously pull back from that 50 or 60 hours a week and think about what are the other things I can do to support my sainted husband, who is a working artist and a sculptor in the household support. Peter, I'm standing on Peter's shoulders because he has so empowered me to do what I do. And I have to say, when he was a starting out artist, he stood on my shoulders as I ran my marketing company and supported the household. So I've been really lucky to have a very egalitarian marriage for years. So Mary Magdalene has granted me twice. It's been a stunning help in the process of trying to make ends meet without an income on my part, and with our household income stretched beyond the max. So I'm deeply grateful to the donors. The other thing, though, I want to say is a justice element in the work of Mary Magdalene. So I think that might be what Betty's referencing, and it's in my little thank you. Many of the presbyters and even some of the deacons came into the ECC with their educations in place, but fully underwritten by a diocesan seminary or a diocesan structure. So if I'll use where Frank's gone, so our beloved Frank, right? So he was a diocesan priest. If you go into the diocesan priesthood, your education is underwritten. You don't have debt. You don't come out with debt. You come out of seminary with a job promised to you, housing, some kind of stipend for you. I mean, you come into this structure. So a lot of our brothers who have the Master of Divinity degree in particular, that was completely paid for. Unlike the lay people, the laymen and the lay women who went into those programs without the support of the structure of the Roman Catholic or another church. And when I was trying to fund my PhD, I have to tell you, it is a wasteland for grant dollars if you're a lay person doing a PhD. First of all, there's almost no Catholic money, which is kind of sad. But the little bit of Catholic money that's there is for priests. So it's when you give and you help me or you help me, you're actually taking a stand for the empowerment of your sisters too. Because, and your lay brothers, because we're the ones who've had to shoulder the academic burden. Now, our Polish brothers and sisters, my friend Marek told me, you don't pay for your higher ed in Poland. So you can do all kinds of stuff and not come out with debt. It's really an issue here in the United States that we burden graduates with all of this stunning amount of debt. So, for me, I'm super, super grateful that you guys are there. I also think it's absolutely critical for our young seminarians to know that there is a way for them to get support in order to live into some of the requirements that are embedded in our Constitution. So thanks, everybody, again.
Thank you. So, the other thing I said, we look at young aspiring priests who haven't had any kind of a career yet, haven't built any kind of income, who need help. We look at those who are pastors and have accumulated educational debt, and the community is not in a position to support them financially. And then we look at those who are adding new services. So Mimi's training in chaplain and her going for the spiritual advisor certification will bring great services to Emmaus in the future. So, okay, let's hear from now from a donor perspective, how could you give, and in your communities, how could you talk to your community about supporting those who are in need of this scholarship help? Mary, let's hear.
Hi, I'm Mary Battaglia. I'm actually on the advisory board for the Mary Magdalene Society. Roots go way back with the society. When Bishop Frank Krebs came up with the idea, he contacted us and said, would you be willing to host a dinner? Back then it was a dinner for people who were willing to commit $1,000 a year for 5 years. That was the vision. It's been revised for obvious reasons since, including COVID and other things, to the point where we ask all of you to make your own personal decisions on what you can contribute. The wonderful thing for us about giving to the Mary Magdalene Society is that you can make a difference in a very direct way, and you don't have to do all the work they were just describing that they had to do. You have to just open your checkbook and write that check. And yet you're making an enormous difference. Tony and I looked at the ECC, which we dearly love. We've been there from the beginning, and said, how can we make this be real? How can we make it happen? We don't want this just to be an idea that doesn't come into formation. We were at the point in our careers where we were no longer living just at the money came in and it goes out immediately. We're starting to have discretionary income. And so you say, where am I going to place that discretionary income? Where can I really make a difference? My time and Tony's were both spent as professors in public university systems. I also spent 11 years as a dean at the University of California, Irvine. In my little crabbier moments, I sorted people into two categories: the problem makers and the problem solvers. And always wondered when someone came into my office which one they were going to be. I loved the problem solvers. And everyone in the Mary Magdalene Society, you're all problem solvers. Okay, you're giving something that makes future better things happen. And it's just a terrific thing. Now, what we've done locally, we've had a dinner over once a year. We've invited Bishop Frank Krebs out to be there at the dinner as the host. We've invited the local folks who are already active or potential donors to the Mary Magdalene Society to join us for an evening of fellowship and to hear back on the reports of what the society is accomplishing. If you'd like to host a dinner in your community, or if you would like to do something else that you can come up with, a wine tasting or a hike together where you take pledges for the miles you walk, or be creative. Any of those things are just wonderful because they also build your own community while you're doing this, so you get a double experience that's wonderful. On the cards that we handed out, there are some opportunities you can think about. I'd like to be the person who reps the Mary Magdalene Society in my faith community. Just means the person who will be sure to learn something about it and share the opportunities with other people. Lots of people are eager to find a place where they can contribute and make a difference to the ECC and to the world, and they're waiting to be asked. Okay, we're not asking for $1,000 a crack. We're asking just that people step up and make a difference, make a commitment, and this is a great place to do it. the other final thing that we've done now, and of course it's poignant because of Tony's death, we've put the Mary Magdalene Society into our estate plans. We are now, the society's monies, and you'll hear more from Betty and others later, are deposited here in the St. Louis Foundation. This is real, this is for our future. This is for the ECC's future. They're being professionally managed. So when we sat down and looked at our estate plans, we said, yes, we want the ECC to be part of that. And I invite you to think about that too. We did it by making it a percentage of our estate plan so that we didn't have to say a dollar amount and then, well, what if that money isn't there or something like that? But you can talk to your estate planner about that. Art Babosa, who isn't here today, is really good on these things and you can talk with him. I can cheer you on if you want to talk to me privately about that, but I have no expertise in this at all, specifically. But for me, it's been a joy. One of the nice things about the Mary Magdalene Society and the dinners we put on is I've gotten to spend time with the other donors. And so I'm going to pass the microphone to Doris next to me because she's one of our donors from Southern California.
Thank you, Mary. Basically, I've been a donor from the original start of Mary Magdalene Society, as I was in the dinner meeting when Bishop Frank Krebs presented his vision for how clergy could be helped. And also, there's another aspect of the Mary Magdalene Society I'd like to speak to, because this now is the reason I will continue to donate, and that's the outreach to youth. We've had two ways of doing that. One is emergent experiences, and the other is basically retreats for young working people. Now, there has been an emergent experience in Southern California. Jennifer Ray Lays brought a group from her area and joined Mother Martha Rogers, who's working with youth in our community, St. Matthew's in Orange. And they created an experience where the youth were presented with what is going on regarding social issues. They basically visited Homeboy Industries to show the youth what Father Greg Boyle is doing to help ex-cons re-enter society. They visited Skid Row and brought packets for the homeless, like toiletries and other things they would need. And then they visited Catholic Worker to see how some people would dedicate maybe their whole life or just part of their life to working with homeless and giving them a safe place for an evening, for a while. And they also are a voice of advocacy against the civil government that tries to give the homeless a really hard time. The other part of the youth outreach is to young working people. And there have been two retreats that are basically had occurred in Southern California. And one was for women and one was for men. And if you were in Father Gianni's workshop earlier, you'd have heard a little bit about the men's retreat. I would like to share with what happened with the women. I think he mentioned that too, but I don't remember if he mentioned that after the retreat was held in the mountains, and the women, about 16 of them, were invited to share about their problems in their lives with their families. And at the end of the retreat, some of the women said, "This is a safe place." With the stress on using media and how much our young people are connected with the cell phone, etc., they must have experienced something where they felt community, they felt listened to. I think this is the seed for the future, and the seed that needs to be put into any other kind of youth outreach. And Mary shared with me that there are other various outreaches that are being considered that perhaps will happen. I'm offering this to all the communities to think about this, creating some kind of weekend for young people that is basically letting them talk about what are their issues. The other retreat was for the men. and that Father Gianni led. He outreach to the LGBTQ community and also an African American community in Orange County. And both groups came to the retreat. And he said after playing basketball for a little bit, then there was a request. They wanted to talk about Jesus. Well, after the retreat, it wasn't a bit of a time. And then someone contacted him, and I believe it was from the African American group, and said, when are we going to have the next one? So basically, I see this approach as really a very strong part. I don't think we should abandon, the clergy, or that's a real good part. But the reason I'm going to continue contributing is I see this as a building for young people for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Doris. So now you can see you've got some ideas to take home and talk to your community about. That all communities are welcome to apply, right? When you submit your application with a description of your project, or those who are going through the process and needing some financial support. Let me just quickly share with you a story that I just heard. Alice Bradley just told me last night that I knew that in her community, in Church of the Beloved, I believe, in Colorado, they have a candidate. They're a young single mother of 2 kids is wanting to go into the seminary, or at least begin her education to become a priest. And so the community is rallying around her to see what they can do to help her. And so they made a presentation at church about MaryMagdalenSociety, because they know that some people, that would be another avenue that could potentially help her. So there will be, we're expecting, because of maybe the synod and this talk and more information getting out to you, won't be surprised to see a lot more applications. And I think then it's a good time to hear from Reverend Denise about the application process.
Thank you, Betty. My name is Denise Roberts. I'm the pastor of Church the Healing Shepherd in Chester Springs, Pennsylvania. And I'm part of the grant review committee. There are 3 of us, myself, Carolyn Reardon, and Reverend Rick Kleitch. In and around December through February, we start gathering applications first for the priest or the clergy, or those aspiring to the clergy, to the priesthood. We take a look at those applications in December, and we meet by Zoom to discuss each of the candidates and what their goals are, what their backgrounds have been, and what the impact will be for them personally, for a grant, and for their community. And in January is when we normally make our recommendations to the Mary Magdalene Society. They take our recommendations and discuss it further, and then they make the grants. In January, we start receiving applications for the youth programs, and those applications are reviewed just like we review the clergy applications, and those grants are distributed in February. So we have an opening time in December for clergy, and in January for youth programs to be reviewed. And there is a deadline that's usually put out for those. The 3 of us have asked the following questions for those that are seeking a grant for education or for help as they go through their ordination process. We do ask for basic background, like a resume, your education, your references, your employment, so that we get a chance to get to know you a little bit better. And we ask a few questions of you. We want to know what you think your greatest gift is. And we want to know what others think your greatest gift is. And this will give us an insight into what you're about and what you can offer the community and what you can offer the communion. One of the important questions that we ask is about your current academic indebtedness. So for Trish, her current academic indebtedness was $92,000. But her anticipated academic indebtedness, I think, was 0 at the time you applied. You weren't looking to go for any more education at the time of application. But others will put, they're still in their programs. So they're anticipating that this year they're going to incur another $15,000 in indebtedness. So we do ask for information about those finances. And then we ask you to let us know what your relationship is to the ECC. Again, this gives us an insight into the impact it's going to make on the community and how you're relating to the ECC, how you made your way to the ECC. So it gets us a chance to know you in that way. For the clergy grants, the committee really looks toward your need and what the impact will be on the communion and on your community. And so far, we have been able to help in some way each of the applicants for the clergy grants. Since I've been on the committee, we have not turned anyone away. So we have been lucky enough to have the funds to make at least a small impact financially for each applicant. But the two greatest things that we're looking for are your need and your indebtedness. Also knowing that you can continue to apply. So Trish has received a grant twice. She will probably apply again, I hope. I know Mimi will reapply. So we've been able to, we got to get you out of there, girl.
I'm gonna write my application on George's shirt.
So impact and need we're looking for clergy. For the youth program, it's a little different. We want to know kind of an outline of the purpose of your proposed program. So to give us an idea of what this program is going to do for the young people in your community, we want to see a detailed plan with measurable and observable goals, a detailed budget, and a post-program evaluation, what you're going to use for that. We also want to know what communities are involved, and we kind of are a little bit more biased to more communities being involved. So if there are several applicants that come in and one is only working with a small number of people in one community, but there's another applicant that comes in and is going to be affecting 3 communities, we may be biased a little bit in the amount that we give to each of those programs. We do encourage that at least one of those communities be an ECC community. But we encourage the collaboration between churches. We know we're always sharing church space, and we're collaborating already with those communities that we share that space with. So why not collaborate on the youth program and make an impact even wider. So we'll be looking for that. We want some evidence of buy-in. And what that means is we want to know that there have been conversations that have already been had, that you're not just going from idea to application and then figure out if people are going to be interested in it. We want to see what that interest is up front. So those conversations happening early on in the process. And is there a diverse mix of participants? We would really encourage that happening in those programs, in those retreats or actions or immersion experiences, that there be a diverse participation among those young people. So in brief, that's basically what we're looking for. And I'm going to hand this back to Betty.
Thank you. Thank you, Denise. You know, I can't say this enough times. Mary Magdalene Society is created to help you. It's created to help ECC grow. Our mission is, that's our mission. Currently, we are assigned the task of raising money for youth activities and for priest development. That could change down the road, but that's primarily, that's our goal right now. So we are here to help you. Yes, we're giving you a donor card and we're asking you to become a donor or renew every year your donor membership. Yes, we do that. But we're also here to help you figure out how to, in your community, how can you get this information to more of your community and to other people that you know might have some extra resources of little or large amounts to help out. So we do that. As I was saying about Alice, she made this presentation to her community, and the community decided that they are going to give some portion of their time, that their money that they have coming in from the members, is some of it, I don't know what, is going to come towards Mary Magdalene Society. I assume that will be over what they owe ECC, but as their tithe, and but also individuals. And so I have a sign-up sheet out on the table, Mary Magdalene Society table. If you would like more information about the applying for grants, about our helping you in your community to make a presentation, we can make presentations by Zoom. Bishop Frank was always happy to make presentations. He would go to some communities, he'd do it by Zoom, whatever it was you needed to help share this information. And so please just give me your name and your email address, and I will make sure that I get in touch with you and we can talk about that. Also, we'll make sure that you get information from when the grant review committee comes out. There's always a newsletter that comes out. Also, we have one other thing, is that some communities say, you know, we are doing everything we can to support the community that we are in and keep it going. And we all will relate to that. Bishop Frank introduced to you Art DeVoso, the chair of our committee, and his background being professional development. Art has offered his services free of charge to communities to help you go through a little bit of a process to figure out how you can help how the community might step up and increase their donations more to the community. He does have a few specifications he'd like that community to have done before he steps in. One would be to be a community with a constitution and a bylaws and a mission statement. Because if you have, those are very important steps to helping people understand, to feel and to buy into, yes, I want to support my community. And we all know that as Roman Catholics, we never got involved in any of this, but now you run the community and you have to remember, it is sort of like a business. You have to have income coming in to make the expenses going out, and you've got all these decisions to make. So we have to talk in our churches about money, not be afraid to talk about money and what it does, and celebrate. I always remember Father Scott Jenkins from Colorado coming to Oshkosh, and he said, "Are you all taking your basket of money, and when you bring it up along with the bread, the wine, the gifts, do you put it on the altar? Because this is your gift to God, as well as the bread and celebrating the bread and the wine." So we have to talk about it. And but it's all good reasons. And Art anyway is offered his services. So again, put your name on my list out there. Tell me, make a little note, if you could, about what kind of information you want. Otherwise, just put your names and email address and cell phone number on there, and I'll get in touch with you, and we can talk about whatever it is you want. Let me stop, and now I'm ready for those hands to go up that have questions, and any of the people you'd like to talk to.
Oh, I just was wondering if, you have the two areas right now, that you're focused on. Would a future area, potentially be seed money for new communities?
George, you could expect. He's the chancellor of the community.
Sure.
Authorize that bylaw.
We can make that change, just a document, just vote on it.
No, I just meant, would it be a priority, or is it already being discussed?
No, I don't think we've talked at length about changing the criteria so far, but we always could. The question I had was, it's been a conversation on Leadership Council over the years about when are we equipped to make a credible grant request to the big boys and girls, the big foundations who might care about what we're doing. And it occurs to me that that day might be here, thanks to all of you. Because what do they care about? They care about looking at something that has good procedures, who has a track record. We're very small, but we're very professional. And we could handle $500,000.
Yeah.
From somebody that in order as a test or whatever, who believes in our mission, who believes in inclusive communities, who believes in the diversity goal, believes in promoting the gospel. So I don't know who this would fall on, but I think we should start thinking about, we can now tell a story that we can handle a grant. We have the professionalism to do that. And maybe now we should apply for one and try to raise the numbers here into bigger numbers. I don't know if that's been a conversation on your board yet, but I would like to get the Leadership Council and you guys all thinking about it. Do you think we're ready for that? I think we might be.
Notice I'm writing that down right now. Because it has been brought up in the past at some meeting, I can't remember. But it's time. I think that we have done a lot of work under the hood for our structure in our organization, that it's time to do that as part of the research. Thank you.
Any other questions?
It's not really a question as much as a housekeeping thing. Our office physically moved last weekend because we didn't have anything else going on right now, So unfortunately, Betty already had the brochures printed, so if you have an ink pen right now, and you can simply cross through 483 East Lockwood, Suite 3, whatever it is, I never wrote something to myself, I don't know what this. The new address is simply 10 West Lockwood. And I'll be sending out that as a email to everybody, you know, with reference to everything we're receiving. We just haven't had a time to do it because we're not even totally unpacked. So, and I've got a problem with my laptop and I'm hoping I can find a 10-year-old who can help me fix it. So you will get it, be getting an email, but I thought it might be easy right now if you would just write that in, and even on the donor envelope, because that way you have it correct with you. And then Betty and I will get labels for the other brochures and stuff. So thank you. No suite, no. We are sweet, but no suite number this time. Number 10, I mean, just 10 West Lockwood. So that'll help, just that you've got that. You're one step ahead of everybody else. Thank you.
And same zip code.
Yes, same zip code. Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, I want to thank you all for coming and your interest, whether it's your interest because you really want to share your resources to support your fellow community members, your ECC members, or whether you're looking because you're here to get information about applying for the grant. We thank you for coming and encourage you to share the stories with your communities when you get home. And please don't hesitate to contact me or contact Carolyn Sue and say, you know, through the office that you would like some more information or help. Thank you. And thank you, panel. Thank you so much for your time and sharing this with us.
Come to me, all you who hunger, come be nourished without price. Come and drink of that new river of life. Bring the lowly and the children, bring your labor and your strife. Come and drink of that new river of life. Why waste your money on things that are not real, on food that will not nourish you, and on water that cannot fill? Come to me, all you who hunger, come be nourished without price. Come and drink of that new river of life. Bring the lowly and the children, bring your labor and your strife. Come and drink of that new river of life. I am water to the thirsty, to the hungry I am bread. I will bear up your burdens, I will raise you from the dead. Come to me, all you who hunger, come be nourished without price. Come and drink of that new river of life. Bring the lowly and the children, bring your labor and your strife. Come and drink of that new river of life. I will promise my covenant without price. Come and drink of that river of life. Bring the lowly and the children, bring your labor and your strife.